Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Choosing Beggar Reddit video. In our first story, a choosing beggar claims a medical emergency is no excuse for canceling his free demo. Let's jump right in. This actually happened on one of my days off, and I heard this from my coworkers that were there to witness it. So I can't say all the details are accurate, but I know the broad strokes of the story are true. A few years ago, I worked at a little shop that is best described as a retro toy store. It sold all kinds of old toys, but its bread and butter were marbles. In order to get people in the door, we had glass artists come in and demonstrate how they make marbles by hand. One of these glass artists was also one of the store's co-owners. Being a natural showman, he learned how to work with glass just so he could do the demos himself and put on a show for all his customers. These demos were of course free, and as I'm sure we all know, when you offer something for free, that's when the choosing beggars start coming out of the woodwork. One morning when we were setting up for the day, we got a call from the co-owner's wife. Apparently, he had suffered a heart attack and was currently in the hospital. Everyone was understandably concerned, but his wife assured us he seemed to be doing fine at the moment. She went on to explain that he would need to take some time off, and he definitely wouldn't be coming in that day. Once we got over the initial shock, we started figuring out who would need to do what to make up for his absence. The biggest and most immediate issue for the store was that he was scheduled to do the marble making demonstrations for that day. The other co-owner called the other glass artists to see if they could fill in for him last minute, but they were unavailable. So, with no other options left, she decided to cancel the demonstrations for that day. Unfortunately, it was the middle of summer, our busiest time of the year. Before the store was even open, there was a line of people outside the door waiting to see the first demonstration. We opened up and very politely explained to everyone waiting that we wouldn't be having any demos that day because the owner had a medical emergency that morning and wasn't able to come in. And almost everyone was completely understanding and sympathetic. They still came in, did some shopping, and we made sure to demo plenty of toys and games for the kids to play with. Things actually went pretty smoothly for most of the day, all things considered. That's when the choosing beggar arrived. In walks a man with his wife and 5 children. He pushes through the other customers to the counter where my coworker is stationed and demands to know when the next demo is starting. My coworker politely tells him what we've been telling other customers all day. "Sorry sir, but the owner had a medical emergency and wasn't able to come in to do the demonstrations today. So unfortunately, we've had to cancel them. But you are free to take a look around the store if you like. We have some games your children can try in the other room." But he wasn't having it. He starts going off on my coworker about how he and his whole family drove all the way from Madunkalunka to see how marbles get made and that it isn't fair that they don't get a free demo. He then starts asking things like, "Is the owner the only one who does it? Can't you get someone else?" My coworker explains to him that we tried and that no one was available. Our manager was nearby helping other customers but was still keeping an eye on the situation, ready to handle things if my coworker decided to call her over. That's when she heard the choosing beggar say something that pushed her over the edge. I don't know what his exact words were, but it was something to the effect of, "How bad could this medical emergency even be?" As soon as she heard that, she immediately marched over to him and said, "Sir, I don't think you heard her earlier, so let me make this very clear. The owner had a heart attack this morning. That's why he couldn't come in. That's why we aren't able to do demonstrations today. I'm very sorry if that's an inconvenience for you." There was a moment of stunned silence while the choosing beggar took some time to process what had just happened. He looked around at the other customers who were looking at him. He looked at his family who were all looking at him. Then, in a huff, he collected his kids and stormed out. And everybody clapped. Okay, that's not true. Nobody clapped. In fact, as my coworkers tell it, it was pretty awkward afterwards, and you could cut the tension in the room with a knife. I guess seeing a grown man getting brutally dressed down in public is an uncomfortable thing to witness. But it did leave me with a very important lesson. When you take a Saturday off during the busiest time of year, you risk missing out on seeing some of the best customer meltdowns. In story number 2, but the rest of us agreed you should wake up earlier. This happened a few years ago and still irritates the heck out of me. My child attended a private high school about 45 minutes from my town. Since there was no bus or public transportation, the school provided a list of parent names and numbers so people can create their own carpools if they wanted. I worked halfway between my hometown and the school, and for the previous years I had offered to drive every morning and pick up every Friday afternoon if the other 3 parents in the carpool could divide the other 4 afternoon pickups between them. This had worked great for 2 years, and I didn't mind doing 5 mornings a week and my half-day Friday afternoon as long as the other 3 managed to get my child back to our hometown the other 4 afternoons. Since the 3 students I was driving graduated the previous year, I made my offer available to incoming freshman parents under the same agreement. 3 new families took me up on it. We met at a parking lot in our town each morning at 6:30 a.m. so I could get the children to school by 7:15 a.m. for a 7:30 a.m. start time. After about 2 weeks of driving daily, I had the following conversation by text, which was grouped to the other members of the carpool. "Hi, just checking in to see how things are going. So far, so good. The reason I am calling is my daughter really likes to get to school at least 30 to 45 minutes before start time in order to talk to her friends. So I talked to the other parents in the carpool and we all agreed to start meeting at 6 a.m. so all the kids can arrive at school earlier. Sorry, but I really am not going to wake up and get out 45 minutes early so your child can socialize before school." "But the rest of us agreed that we can meet earlier." "Yes, we can make that work." "Well, that's nice, but since I am the one that's driving every morning and must shower and get ready for work before meeting while both of you just drop your kids off in sweats and slippers, I am not willing to change my schedule." "That seems very selfish of you. My daughter says she is stressed out each day because she only has 15 minutes to get to homeroom and never has time to get a coffee or a donut. The other parents agree with me that earlier is better. I don't know why you are being so difficult." Silence from the other 2 families. Allow me to be clear. This is never going to happen as long as I am driving. I don't think you should have complete control over everyone's schedule simply because you are willing to drive every morning. Well, since you all agree, I suggest the other 3 of you figure out a way to get your children to and from school between you. I will be arranging to get my child home on my own going forward. I never spoke to anyone in the carpool group again and have often wondered if the other parents were pissed or embarrassed that Choosing Beggars screwed up a good thing for them, or if they all really agreed that I should wake up earlier and thought I was being selfish for wanting my beauty sleep. Story number 3. This was on one of my mom's pages. Potatoes or blackberries, anyone? Crops have come in, a nice surprise since I just moved here. I'm a little hesitant on saying pick what you want since a woman tried to back her truck up and pull out my blackberry bushes. I did put in the work when I saw what was growing, tending to the buds, using non-toxic repellents, even singing to them at night. All of a sudden, boom, fruits and veggies. So maybe $5 and you can fill a tin full. I just really don't want to have someone try to steal my entire bushes. She said free was free and called the cops on me. Thankfully, the police department handled it beautifully, but she made a whole scene in front of my kids who had been so excited to help people pick ripe blackberries. So, thanks Heather for trying to steal someone's entire garden because you got offered a few berries. This is John from /Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, then subscribe and make sure you click on the notifications bell so that YouTube will actually show you my videos. We would love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.